The job of a systems administrator is to, well, administer systems. Sysadmins have a set of systems they're responsible for, and they have to manage those systems so they're available to serve their function to the organization. For example, as a sysadmin, I might be responsible for making sure that all of the servers in my network are kept up to date with security patches and application updates. Should I go around and log into each server checking each one at a time? What if I need to manage user accounts on end user devices? Should I go to each employee's desk and set their account up that way? I guess I could, but that would be super time consuming and probably inconsistent. Instead, what I want to do is use centralized management, a central service that provides instructions to all of the different parts of my IT infrastructure. Directory services are one of these services. Remember in earlier lessons when you created accounts and gave them access to resources on your computer? Imagine that you work for an organization that has dozens, hundreds, or even thousands of computers and people who use them. You can't possibly go into each of those computers to set them up. Directory services provides centralized authentication, authorization, and accounting, also known as AAA. When computers and applications are configured to use directory services for AAA services, decisions about granting or denying access to computers, file systems, and other IT resources are now centralized. Now, you can create a user account once, and it's available for the entire network at once. Easy. Well, sort of. You will learn a lot more about AAA services in an upcoming course. For now, you should understand that your directory service will be responsible for granting or denying access to computers, file systems, and other IT resources. Now, let's go one step further. Let's say you have a network file system that you need to give everyone in the IT department access to. You could set up the network share, then give it a list of user accounts to grant access to the share. But what happens when someone new joins the IT department? What about when someone leaves? Instead of granting access based on who you are, what if you granted access based on what you do? In most organizations, access to computer and network resources is based on your role in the organization. When you manage access to resources on a computer and on the network, you'll often grant and deny access based on user groups. User groups can be used to organize user accounts in all sorts of ways. You might create groups for buildings that people work out of, or the person's role in the organization, or really almost anything else. What's important is that you use groups to organize accounts based on the way that you will manage them. If you are a systems administrator, then you might have permission to do things like creating user accounts and resetting passwords. You're allowed to do that because of your role as a systems administrator. If you add another systems administrator to your organization, you don't want to have to find out all of the things that a sysadmin should have access to, then grant them individual account access to each of those resources. That would just take forever. Instead, we'll create a group for sysadmins and add all system administrators to that group. Then we can give the system administrators group access to any resources they need. If you or another person change roles in the company, then all you have to do is change the groups that you're part of, not the rights that you have to directly access resources. We call this role-based access control, or RBAC. Controlling access to resources isn't all you can do. You can also centralize configuration management. Just like you don't want to run around to every computer to configure user accounts, you wouldn't want to do that to set up printers, configure software, or mount network file systems. By centralizing the configuration management of your computers and software, you can create rules about how things should work in your organization. There are many ways to centralize your configuration management. An easy way to get started is with as simple a tool as logon scripts that run each time someone logs on to a computer. Later in this module, we'll look at Active Directory and its group policy objects, which are a way to manage the configuration of Windows machines. There are also dedicated configuration management frameworks like Chef, Puppet, or SCCM that can be used for super simple or super powerful configuration management. These are outside the scope of this module, so check out the supplemental reading right after this video for more information.